The title of the webinar is a new way to enhance your language students' conversation practice. And so that's going to be quite a great topic to discuss with our wonderful teacher, Diana, and Stephen will be backing her up from our tech team and actually developer. So we got a little housekeeping to do. Please make sure your mics are muted so we can hear the presentation clearly. Some viewing tips: turn off your video and close any extra applications on your computer. This helps with bandwidth. We don't want to lose you. We don't want to freeze. And so those things are very important. If it does freeze, we hope it will restore quickly. But if it doesn't, please try to log back in and we should be able to capture you then. We will have a Q&A session at the end, but please feel free to add comments and questions in the chat window throughout the webinar. We will probably be answering those questions, especially Stephen, as he sees them. He'll be giving you immediate feedback on that question from the development team. As you know, we're recording the session, and that is something you know now. So we have an agenda, and it's pretty simple because we're going to keep this webinar short. We know time is important for you, but we're going to talk about teaching your students. Students face some common challenges when learning a language, and we'll also talk about best practices to support language learning growth. We're going to give you a good quick look at Nualang and how it enhances conversation practice, and discuss listening, translation, pronunciation exercises, and role plays. At the end, we'll talk about next steps for you and the ways in which you can engage Nualang. Any certainly questions that you may have, you can, we'll have instructions for you, and you can always reach out to me, and my information will be here at the end. We'll also have that Q&A. So I'll be introducing now Diana Collado. Diana is a certified early childhood through grade 12 teacher from Texas, the great state of Texas. She's an accomplished educator who has taught ESL, dual language, and Spanish immersion for over 18 years. Diana's passion for teaching language is fueled by the certainty that language learning and bilingualism have many cognitive benefits that will ultimately help her students be successful. We believe that in Nualang, and that's one of the bases for creating Nualang just for you. So with that said, Diana, I'm going to pass the ball, and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. It's good to be here, and thank you for coming, everybody. As Tim said, I have been teaching Spanish and ESL for a long time, and in my experience, there are certain areas that are more challenging for teachers and students. For one, it's hard to provide supported speaking and listening practice for every student in the class because there simply isn't enough time. Also, as you probably know, students can be very self-conscious when learning and speaking in front of others. The best practices to support growth are to get students talking and give them the support they need to build their confidence. Learning a language requires a lot of practice and support. Nualang is a tool that I've been using to support students with their communication skills and build their confidence. Today, I'll be sharing a few aspects of Nualang that I find very useful for teaching. With Nualang, you can create your own custom material. You can offer students engaging conversation practice and easily assign exercises. There's a lot more to see, but in this short webinar, I'm going to show you the exercises and role plays. There are 3 exercises that are automatically generated based on your word or phrases list. There are listening, translation, and pronunciation. There's also the role plays that are a great way to help students with the conversation practice, the conversation piece. In Nualang, I can add a role play that I already have, or I can select a role play from the library that suits the topic we're covering in class. Now I'm gonna go into Nualang to show you. Here are 2 courses that we have prepared before. And by the way, this one, US Spanish 1, has content for Spanish 1 in the US. So if you decide to join Nualang, as we hope you will find a lot of content in there that's very, very useful for Spanish 1. I'm going to use this one that I created to show you, and that's it. So this is the course that I had already created. It's very easy to create a course. We're not going to go over that because it's very, very simple. We want to show you the good stuff. In this tab, phrases is where the teacher adds all the phrases they need the students to practice, all of the phrases you have taught in the classroom. Here in the add phrase, you just click on it and you type in your phrase in Spanish, and then you type in the translation that you wish the student to give or provide, the translations that you have taught in the classroom. You can add as many translations as you need, because sometimes we can say things in different ways. So if the student uses a different translation, but it still means the same thing, it'll mark it correct. When you type in your phrases, you're done. You're going to go back to the exercises, and that's where you're going to see the exercises that have been created automatically for you. You will get translation, listening, and pronunciation out of those phrases. It's just like that. It's like magic. I just love this. I just type in the phrases, and when I'm done, we already have 3 different practice exercises created for me, and it does not take long at all. I'm going to show you what the translation one looks like.
La computadora.
The student will listen to the phrase as many times as they need. They can click again.
La computadora.
And they're going to provide the translation that you have taught them. They have different options. They can type in the translation themselves, or if they're still struggling with the meaning, they can use a word bank. And this is how the word bank looks. So if they choose the correct answer, the system will mark it correct. Then they'll go to the next one. Once again,
Levanta la mano.
they'll hear the phrase. You can use the keyboard instead, and you'll say, raise your hand. And it'll mark it correct. I'm also going to show you what they get
Tengo una pregunta.
if the answer is wrong. Let's suppose a student does not know the meaning of the phrase tengo una pregunta. So they get it marked wrong, and they have at the bottom left corner the answer that would have been correct. That way they have another chance to practice and learn the phrase.
El lápiz.
So now you know they have several options. They can type it in, they can use the word bank, and if they get it wrong, they get a chance to review, learn it, and try again. Let's try el lápiz, the pencil.
Necesito ayuda.
That would be I need help.
Tengo una pregunta.
Oh, we heard that one before. It's because I got it wrong. So I'm going to try again now that I learned it, because I had the right answer at the bottom left corner. So it's I have a question. And there you go. So we're done with this one. I'm going to go back to topic because I want to show you, besides the translation practice, we also have the listening practice.
Levanta la mano.
Students will listen to the phrase as many times as they need.
Levanta la mano.
And they're going to type in the phrase in Spanish. This is not translation. This is what they hear, and they're going to type it in Spanish. And let's try another one.
La computadora. Necesito ayuda.
What happens if they get it? If they don't know what it's saying, they can listen to it multiple times.
Necesito ayuda.
They can use the word bank.
El lápiz.
I'm going to try to type something wrong. So it's not the pen. El lápiz is what they said.
Tengo una pregunta.
Once again, tengo una pregunta.
El lápiz.
What if the student misspells? It's still incorrect. So, but they get the right answer at the bottom left corner so that they can review. Now I'm going to go back to the topic to show you the third exercise that I created automatically just by typing in those phrases.
Levanta la mano.
So now the student will have the opportunity of recording their voice to see if they can pronounce the phrase that they're hearing. Levanta la mano. It'll give them a level of confidence. 97% is great. They can listen to it again. Levanta la mano. And continue practicing.
La computadora.
What if they're hesitant? Let's see what happens if they're saying it, but they're not very confident. La computadora. The confidence was 69%, so the student needs to try again.
La computadora.
La computadora. And now they get it right. Tengo una pregunta. So if the student knows how to say it, they can save time and just go, they can just record themselves to see if they're saying it correctly.
El lápiz.
El lápiz.
Necesito ayuda.
Necesito ayuda. That was fair enough. So an accent won't mess up their scores. If they have an accent, it's still okay. So those are the 3 practice exercises you get by typing in your list of vocabulary words or phrases that the students have learned in the classroom. There is another type of practice that we want to share with you, and it's the role plays. I'm going to go back and find a course that has the role play to show you how those work. The role play is very similar to those little dialogues that we do in the classroom. Sometimes I give my students a dialogue for them to practice, memorize, and then present. But they're generally very embarrassed to present in front of the whole class. This will substitute that practice, and they will do it with the computer instead of being in front of the whole classroom, in front of the whole class. Here's one, it's hola y adios. It's pretty simple and short. It's just to show you how it works. There are two characters here. One is Penelope, one is Miguel. You get to choose the characters that you want the students to have in the role play. The characters are called Nualas. They're very cute and fun. You get to change their voices if you wish. You can pick from different accents from Europe, America, different countries. So that's the fun thing to do, is to play with the Nualas a little bit, to choose the accents or the voices that you prefer. That way your students, every time you create a role play and you use it in your classroom, if you use different voices or different accents, the students are going to be exposed to different ways of speaking the Spanish language. I think that's neat. Let's click start.
Buenos días, Miguel. ¿Cómo estás?
So here in this type of exercise, as you all know, we teach the students what would make sense to say next. If the student does not know what to say next to that greeting, they have the capability of looking at the options. Would saying genial, hasta luego make sense? Or buenos días, estoy muy bien, gracias, ¿y tú qué tal? So they get to choose one of these two, whichever one is best, so that the conversation can flow and make sense. So in this case, it would be buenos días, estoy muy bien, gracias, ¿y tú qué tal?
Buenos días, estoy muy bien, gracias. ¿Y tú qué tal?
Muy bien también. Gracias.
And now it's Miguel's turn. You can make the role play as long as and complex as you want. You can use the phrases that your students have learned and different variations, because there are so many ways to say the same thing. So you have as many opportunities to use those when you're creating your role plays, which is also great because your role plays and your phrases that you're using in Nualang are the exact same phrases and vocabulary words that you have been teaching in the classroom. And I think that's a plus. That's what I like the most, besides how easy it is to use it, is that whatever the students are using to practice is totally aligned to what I have taught in the classroom. So what does Miguel say next?
Genial.
Genial, hasta luego, or buenos días, estoy muy bien, gracias, ¿y tú qué tal? So it would be genial, hasta luego.
Genial. Hasta luego.
Hasta pronto.
So that was a very, very short role play that I'm sharing with you because I know time is valuable, and we were just trying to show you what's the basics and what the good stuff looks like. But there's a lot more that we can create and do in Nualang. And well, I think that's all we're going to share with you for today. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I'll let Tim speak to the next steps. Thank you all for being here.
Sorry about that, folks. I was on mute. Apologize. Thank you, Diana. That was great. And we appreciate the teachers on the call today for listening to a few short ways in which Nualangs can, our Nualas and our activities can work with your students. You certainly can check out our website and learn more and watch videos there that will help educate you with how to use Nualang, how to engage with Nualang. I would encourage you to reach back to us and me specifically to make sure that you get a clear understanding of the value We certainly will be happy to do a private demo for you and your district, any other teachers that may like to engage to learn more, and to ask questions about a subscription to Nualang and how that would work in your district or in your classroom. We're also very much would enjoy talking to you about what a pilot might look like for you. And so there's many, many ways in which we want to engage with the work that you do with your students and the way they're learning languages. For being on the call today, there's a special offer. Our standard price is $99 per year, which is fabulous. For being with us, it is $79 for an annual license for your class. That's pretty amazing to get all these wonderful exercises, access to a library, access to tools that allow you to easily create content for your students and share with other teachers as well. There is a special webinar code which will supply to you. It is being placed in the chat, and please make sure that you use that if indeed you choose to buy today or within the next 7 days. It does have a October 6th deadline. And so that's those are our steps for you. If you have any further thoughts along the lines of a demo or a trial, please reach out to me. But let's talk about a Q&A. My information is up on the screen. Please make note of it. You do have access to info@nualang.com. You can fill in a form on the website. But I would ask any of the teachers on the line, do you have discussion questions for us today that Diana and or Stephen could answer for us? No questions.
I see that. Go ahead.
So I was just wondering, is it possible to slow down when the program is speaking? So when my students are going to try to repeat, like I noticed that one when she said, necesito ayuda. For a lot of my students, that's really fast. So can I slow that down?
Stephen, do you want to take a shot there?
Yep. So we do plan to actually put that in the hands of the teacher to be able to control that, because we want teachers to be able to have for users that are getting used to the language to be able to provide that support to slow it down. But we also want teachers to be able to, as it gets a little bit more advanced and we want their students to be listening at 100%, that they can enforce that. And as the topics get more advanced. Right now, though, what you can do is the students can hover over each word individually and hear that word back one by one. So they can take it as slow as they like, word by word, and get to hear it back in real time. So that's what we have in place at the moment. But we would also like to have some control over that default speed that you hear throughout the exercises as well. So that's definitely something that we'd like to include in a future version.
Okay, perfect.
The question also came up about integration with Google Classroom, and indeed, Nualang does.
Yeah, so what you can do right now with Google Classroom is when you're, if you're exploring Nualang and you find some content that you think it would be really useful for your classroom, what you can do is you can click share, and you'll see that there's a share to Google Classroom option. You can also do that for content you create. So if you set up your classroom or your course, or you have a role play that you think would be particularly good for your students, you can click share and you'll have the share to Google Classroom option there for you. There are more ways that you can integrate with Google Classroom, and that's something that we'd look to do in a future version to allow that progress that the students are doing to be even synced up even more than it is right now. But that's something that we'd look to continue to improve on.
Well, we very much appreciate your time this evening. I know it's later in the day here on the East Coast. I know there's a bunch of you from across the country. So again, thank you very much. We look forward to hearing more from you. We'd love again for you to visit the website, reach out to me directly. Let's get conversations going about how Nualang can be used in your classrooms to have language learning happen better and more successful for your students. Again, thank you very much and have a wonderful evening.